All right, what's happening? What's happening, everybody? It is Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. And this morning, we're going to talk a little bit about what I think everybody's talking about. We're going to talk about the presidential debate last night. Hopefully, you guys will chime in here and have a little conversation with me about the debate because it was interesting. I want to talk about what we all saw, and then I want to talk about how that happens. How do we get to that point where that's what we see? Let's get started.
It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right. What's happening, guys? Good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. It is a day that this episode is going to be a little bit short because I got to get on the road this morning, and I got a bunch of stuff to do before I do that. I'm headed down to Southern Virginia for a job that we got to complete this evening and tomorrow. It is playoff time in the pavement business, and man, it's awesome to be busy. It's great to be moving around. It hasn't been that long since we were all kind of in a spot where we couldn't leave our houses and we didn't know what was going on. So just grateful and thankful for for the opportunity to get out and hang with the guys that are getting the work done for us and see people, interact with everyone, and just grateful for everything. I hope you guys are too. Take a minute. If you haven't taken a minute to count your blessings today, make sure that you do that. So let's jump into the topic this morning. And we want to talk about last night's presidential debate. I would love it if you guys would chime in the comments and just kind of leave your thoughts. And, I think that, everybody, regardless of which side of things you are on, everybody can agree that last night was a little bit disturbing, overwhelming, for lack of a better description. I think a dumpster fire pretty much qualifies it. What is interesting to me is, and I put a post up about this, when the debate was over, I was, and I do this quite frequently. To go back and forth between two different news channels that are, opposing views. And I try to listen to both sides and try to gather, where really are we and how does this really happen? How do we get to this point? And one of the things that I want to talk about this morning, because it's not just about the debate. This is about, so much more that is going on in our country, that's going on in all of our lives in a lot of cases. Is that, what we see. You like the shirt, Trish? I can put the link in. It is another Team Humanity shirt. My buddy Will James makes these. So, and I think it's only appropriate to be wearing this today. So, what I see is that everybody out there, and it doesn't matter what news channel that you're watching, they are stoking the fire of division, and they are standing firm with their candidate, regardless of what happened, regardless of, whether they tell the truth, they don't tell the truth, whether they answer questions or they don't answer questions. You go to one channel and they are picking apart the other candidate and only talking about the parts that are, that are great about their own candidate. And so what they're focusing on and what they're talking about, and I want you guys to remember this, they are talking about what just happened as if it is the issue at hand. And the problem that we all have, guys, is that we forget that what you saw last night is nothing but a result of what we have allowed to happen in our country, what has happened over a long period of time in our country. Last night is nothing but the sickness, but the symptom. It is not actually the sickness. It's the symptom. What you see is just a result of something that you haven't taken care of. It's unbelievable to me that we all sit there and we watch something and we are in the moment. But the reality is that moment, those interactions there are nothing but the reality of what was bound to happen as a result of both sides taking no responsibility for what doesn't get done, no responsibility for the things that are going on in our country. And by the way, there's equal blame to go around. And they are all trying to shift blame everywhere but on themselves. And so I want you guys to think about that, because that debate should spark some interest in your mind about a bigger problem that we have in our country. And the bigger problem that we have in our country, and this is what scares me about my own children watching television and seeing adults, political figures, people with a lot of power in our country argue at the level that they do, call each other names, do all kinds of things that are completely inappropriate. And it amazes me that we will sit there and whatever candidate we choose to support, we find all the faults in the other candidate. But we don't find any faults in the one, and I'm speaking on a broad stroke here. Not everybody fits into this category, but we find all the faults in the person that we don't like. But very few people are willing to talk about the faults of the person that they support. And that, friends, that is the problem that we have in our country. Because it doesn't matter who you support. It's not okay to set a bad example. It doesn't matter what you believe. It's not okay to do the things that those guys did last night, and both of them. And so to me, number one, I don't think that debates swing a vote that much. I think that a lot of people go into that debate more interested in, the entertainment value of it than they are, that any of it's going to change their mind. But I can tell you this: leadership is not what you saw last night. It's not. That's a bad example of leadership. And the only way that gets fixed is if everybody in this country takes a long, hard look in the mirror and starts to tell the truth about what they really see, and be willing to disagree with someone that you support. This is the other problem that exists, is that if you support Trump, you are this way. If you support Biden, you are this way. We have to stop painting everybody in a certain light, because it doesn't work. It fans the flames of division more and more and more. And when we do that, we are making assumptions that just create more of a problem. And the reality is this: I've said this a few times in the last few days here. The media spends all of their time trying to convince us of how different we are, of how, this candidate is so different than this candidate and this, and they talk about all the things that are different. I am of the belief, guys, that as Americans, that the vast majority, high 90-something percentile, all believe in very similar things. The differences are very minor. We all want the same things. Just because we support people that choose a different path to get there doesn't make us different as human beings. It makes us stronger as human beings, by the way, when we are able to disagree and have a conversation. when we are able to look at another side of a problem and learn from that. Conflict is one of the healthiest things that we can go through. And the problem with our country right now is that every time there's conflict, the people that you see everywhere on television handle it in a way that would never be accepted in the real world. It's ridiculous. If those two gentlemen last night were working for a company in our country and they acted like that in a meeting, they would either be written up or probably fired from their jobs. Talking over each other, calling each other names. It's troubling. At the same time, I'm encouraged that it has gotten to this point because I believe that this will lead us to a better place. Because when you go through things like this, there's an education attached to that. Ken Walls, good morning to you, man. I'm in my office here in Cranberry. Eli, thank you, man. I agree. Be the change, man. Be the change. Don't just talk about it. Be the example that you would like to see. And when we do that, and when we encourage each other to do that, we really can change the world. We really can change the world. But we can't change the world by looking at last night's debate and just assuming that our candidate was right and the other candidate was wrong. And we can't not be critical. And we can't just accept the person because that's who we support. That's who we support. And we don't want to make anybody else change their mind about our candidate by our comments. So we want to make sure that, our guy wins. It's irresponsible of all of us to do that. And it's irresponsible at the highest level for the media to sit behind their desks and broadcast to millions of people and not be critical of the person that they support. It's irresponsible. And that is what we have in this world. The good news for all of us is that in today's world, we have technology and we have the ability to listen to things like this and to come together on social media or other outlets. And we can discuss these things on our own. We don't need these people to feed us this stuff. And here's how I know it's a problem. That regardless of who I talk to, I can determine which news channel they watch. Just from conversation. Because the talking points, my wife always laughs at me because I watch both. The talking points that people repeat are exactly what they hear on the news. Most of them unverified, whether they are true or untrue. Tim Lewis, I couldn't agree more, man. What we need in this world is love. We need to stop looking at each other and looking at the differences. There are no differences, guys. We all have the same blood running through our bodies. We all want the same thing for our country. We want safety, security, prosperity. We want our families to be happy. We want everything to be, quote unquote, normal. Everybody wants the same thing. Just because somebody disagrees with you on how to get there does not make you right and them wrong, does not make them right and you wrong, and it doesn't make you different. When I worked in corporate America, we talked a lot about diversity. It was a very important discussion, of hiring diversity. And one of the things that I learned through that process was how important the diversity of thought is. And diversity of thought is what makes companies great. It's what makes countries great. It's what creates innovation. It's what creates everything. And so the diversity in thought comes from the diversity in us. It comes from how we grew up, what our backgrounds are, where we come from, what experiences we had in life. Diversity is huge, but the diversity of thought, guys, is important. So we don't need to argue to get our point across. We don't need to. We can have adult conversations, and we don't have to just cling to our side and say that whoever disagrees with us is an idiot, because that's basically where we're at right now. If you disagree with me, then you're an idiot. How could anyone vote for X? Well, there's a reason. And by the way, if you take the time to open your ears and listen, there's probably a damn good one as to why they would vote one way or another. And it's probably not attached to something negative. It's probably attached to something positive that they believe. They believe in their heart. And because they believe something in their heart differently than you, it makes them an idiot. Because I saw it about 1,000 times on social media last night. Think about that. Think about what you are saying or what you are thinking when you are evaluating people that don't agree with you. Conflict, guys, is the key to solving everything in our world. Conflict, not violence, not all the stuff, some of the stuff that's going on, but conflict. Sitting down and talking and listening and taking turns and genuinely trying to understand the other person, the person that disagrees with you. Not just sticking to your own talking points and your own dislike for whoever or your own opinion of the other person that's negative. I would venture to say that there's a lot of people in this country that literally vote for not the person they support, but they vote for the opposite of what, of something that they dislike in the other person. And I know a lot of people like that. I know a lot of people that, feel a certain way about this election, and it's not that they love the person that they're supporting. But if you talk to them and you really listen, they will come up with all kinds of talking points that have been fed to them by the media as to why they support the person that they support. But if you listen closely, it is because they don't want the other person. They don't actually even know why they're voting for one person or another. And that's the reality of what we have, guys, is that a lot of people aren't going to feel good about the vote that they put in. The vote that they cast is not one that is a vote of 100% support of one person or another. It's just not how it works. Those candidates don't exist. But I can tell you this. Tim Lewis said it. The bottom line is our country needs love. It does not need what we all watched last night. And we will get more. Somebody said it here in the comments, and it's one of my favorite people to follow. Let's see where it's at here. Let's see. As Jocko says, James Gavin, as Jocko says, it is not what we preach. It's what we tolerate. And all of the problems that we face today, it's from what we have tolerated. Think about it. Think about any problem we have in our country, any problem that we're facing, any problem that we're trying to solve right now. It has come from a sickness that we had for a long time. All we're seeing right now is just the symptom of the bigger problem. If you eat terrible food for a long period of time in your life, you will eventually get sick. Rodney agreed. What we tolerate is what we become. And as a country, I would challenge you to look at whoever it is that you support, and do not support the things that aren't right. And speak out to your friends, to other people about the things that didn't line up last night, that weren't okay, that don't match the values that we want in people that are going to lead our country. That's what we need. We need people to tell the truth, to be brave enough to stand up and tell the truth. Misa, I couldn't agree more. I felt little watching it as well. Like, I felt like, what are we watching? It reminded me more of an episode of Jerry Springer than it did a presidential debate. And that's sad. That is genuinely sad. So I challenge you guys today as you go around, man. Number one, go around today with an upbeat attitude. Don't go around today, thinking that everything is terrible, because it's not. As Ken said, I am sure that much of last night was by design. Doesn't make it acceptable. It doesn't make it acceptable. And that is the truth. Doesn't matter who you support. What happened last night, there's a whole list of things that the news stations should be covering, because the only way that the candidates are going to change, the only way that we're going to get a better result, is if everybody tells the truth. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen nearly often enough in our country right now. So think about that. As you go through today, as the shirt says, be the change. Be the change that we need in our country. Be the change that you want to see. And tell the truth. Lean into the conflict, guys. Lean into it. If you're a good person, man, you can have discussions with anybody, have a completely different set of opinions. And if you're built for it, if you're prepared for it, you can have a very, very healthy and educational discussion that will lead you to a better place. It will bring you knowledge. It will bring you balance. It will bring you wisdom. And that is what we need, guys. We need much more than what we have right now. And we need less of what we are programmed with through that thing that hangs on your wall, most likely, called a television. So I hope you guys have an awesome Wednesday. I'm traveling down to Southern Virginia today. So we are milling and paving milling this evening and paving tomorrow morning. So I will be down there today and tonight and tomorrow, and getting it done. It is that time of year in the paving business where we are full tilt, man. I'm proud of our team. We got a lot going on, man. We probably got jobs going on in like 10 states this week, and it's exciting. As I said to open the show, man, I think every morning about how thankful I am to be able to get out and do everything that we are able to do now. I think 6 months back, and man, we were all in a different place. And as Ken says here, as you go out throughout your day today, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the president is. It matters who you are. It matters what you believe. And people are what change this world, not one individual person. And so as you go through today, be the change that you want to see. Be upbeat. Love everybody. Take the time to hold the door. Be a good person. Shake people's hands. Say good morning. Say good afternoon. Put a smile on your face. And little by little, guys, that's what changes the world. It's not one person. It's definitely not what we saw last night. That's for sure. So I appreciate you guys being here. This was an awesome morning. Great comments, great discussion. I hope I hope this gives you some perspective. That's my goal here every morning, is just to give you something to think about throughout the day. What we just discussed has a little bit of a negative connotation to it, but it is very positive if you put it into play in your life in the right way. If you put it into action, it will change other people. It will change you. And little by little, it will change the world. So I hope you guys have an awesome Wednesday, and I will see you again tomorrow morning. Different place, because I'll probably be on a job site, but I'll see you at 7:30 a.m. It might be a little loud. There might not be any fancy stuff on here, but I'll see you at 7:30 a.m. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Love